Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Shalawama, Islam to all the Moors. Welcome to the free Astro Theology course. I'm Dr. Yasafa from Zion Law School. Give me 1 second. Let me check the connection, make sure we have a signal. So we're going to pick it back up. We're going to pick it back up on page 211. The very last paragraph, okay? Give me 1 second, y'all. If you can hear music in the background, if you can hear music, y'all let me know, okay? Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. All right, so we got a signal. All right, y'all, so let's get started. Welcome. We're going to pick it back up. We are still in the astrology of the Old Testament, or the lost word regained. All right, this is by Carl Anderson. The title is so interesting because when we look at first of all, astrology, Old Testament, and then also lost word, and then regain. Okay. So anyway, the book is published in 1892, and what's so very interesting about this? Of course, astrotheology itself. So astrology, Old Testament. So Old Testament is covenant. So there are two covenants in the solar zodiac. There are two covenants, right? The vernal equinox and the fall equinox. So there are your two covenants, or the Old Testament, right? Or the initial contract. Y'all follow? The initial contract, the initial covenant, followed up by an alleged new covenant. All right, and it's all solar. And then the lost word. This is why I found the interesting piece of information out. So this lost word, of course, the lost word is the astrology, or the astrology, right? But it's even, we can take it back further than the solar zodiac. The lost word, I found out, traces back to the thigh of the Great Bear, the 7 stars that make up the thigh of the Great Bear, who are the Elohim. Who are the Elohim? Well, who are the Elohim? The Elohim are the Ils, the elves. Okay, so in the solar zodiac, the elves are the S-U-N sun. The S-U-N sun, these are the S-O-N sons. Y'all should see where this is going, right? So who are these sons? These are the autochthonous Moors. These are the autochthonous Moors. Those of us who are sprung from the soil, meaning non-hybrid. Okay, non-hybrid men and women. So the lost word is, let me take it step by step. The lost word, of course, in the alleged new covenant would be John, right? The book of John, the word of God, right? Is it John 1, verse 1 through 5? I don't remember offhand. But in the solar zodiac, that's the remix. In the beginning, the Word was, and the Word was with God, and the Word was a God, all of that. Y'all remember? But it traces back, of course, if you know the astrology, the astrotheology rather, that traces back to the S-U-N sun. S-U-N sun is the S-O-N sun, according to the etymology, coming from German, and I think it's Dutch language. I don't remember the other, but it's on my community post. So this is El, This is the sun, all right? And then, of course, planetarily, listen, y'all, planetarily, El, or the proper pronunciation is Il, E-L. Planetarily is Saturn. That's very significant. Planetarily, Il or El is Saturn. Saturn, of course, traces back to Sut, S-U-T. The first masculine, so Alan Seitz writes, I'm Brindle, very nice shirt, by the way. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you back. So anyway, so Il planetarily is Saturn. I'm sorry, Saturn. Yes, planetarily is Saturn. Saturn traces back to Sut in the circumpolar zodiac projection. Sut, of course, is the first-born sun. The first of the masculine material things that were formed from existing energy. And that energy, of course, is consciousness, right, y'all? Is mentalism, which is the first law, is the first of the Hermetic Laws. And who's doing the forming? Well, the Great Mother Typhoon, which is the Hermetic Law of gender, in the feminine role of forming, reforming, and transforming existing energy, existing consciousness. Okay, y'all? So now, these 7 stars that make up the thigh of the Great Bear, Ursa Major, which is today called the Big Dipper, these are in fact, as I mentioned, the Elohim. Keep in mind, they are feminine. That's the interesting thing about it. That's the interesting thing about it, right? And then YHWH, of course, is a remix of the Great Mother Typhoon, the celestial ship of the North, the mother of revolutions, the mother of circles, 360 degrees. And of course, YHWH, as I just mentioned, initially was rolled out as a feminine deity. Okay, so these deities didn't come about until the decline began. All right. So this lost word, this is feminine. Okay, as above, so below, as below, so above. Hermetic law of correspondence. So as far as fleshly men and women, we're talking about the matriarchy, the women. All right? So I thought that was very interesting. Sut, of course, the first transformation of energy into Sirius the dog star, being primarily masculine, is Il. Il, of course, or Saturn, Sut is remixed into Saturn. Saturn is remixed into Satan. How about that? This is another example of the defamation and the degradation, the slander and libel of the Moors. Okay, and this devil who is red, and this is taking us into our topic now, this red devil with the horns that we see, what that's taught in Christian doctrine, that red devil figure with a pitchfork, that's Talmudic, according to the author Valencia Straiton, the author of The Celestial Ship of the North. That concept of Satan came about through Talmudism. So it's religion. It's dogmatic religion. Prior to that, Satan, and I'm not talking about the Satan that you conceptualize in your mind. See, that's make-believe, that's made up. That's my point. It's made up. It's an archetype that's made up. It's a dogmatic doctrine that's meant to scare you to death to get you to release your birthright and to give the ecclesiastical class control over your life. That's what it's for. But before it became that, Satan, or let me rephrase that so nobody takes this the wrong way. Hold on. So Alan Seitz writes, the mother of circles, fantastic, thank you. Absolutely. Actually, there's so much involved with circles. See, a circle is a cycle. A circle is a cycle. And hence, this is where our ancestors created time, amongst other things, okay? Alan Seitz writes, suit to Saturn. No, it's S-U-T, S-U-T, soot to Saturn. Yes, soot gets remixed into a planet, and that planet becomes Saturn. And very interestingly, Saturn rules over Capricorn. Rules over Capricorn, so you can associate that with Judaism. This is why Judaism, this is why a lot of these, well, I don't know where you guys are from, but in the Maghreb, North America, you'll see certain people, they wear all black. See, this is honor and homage to Saturn. Also the magistrates, those acting as magistrates, acting as judges in the Western judicial system, they wear black. Okay, they wear, when you graduate from college or high school even, you get the square hat. See, all of this has to do with Saturn, homage, worship of Saturn. But the common people don't know this. But energy is being driven towards Saturn, but it's being used in a negative way. Because Saturn is not negative. Saturn is not evil. Saturn provides lessons. Okay, and a lot of those lessons are very difficult. But it builds the character if you pass those lessons. Okay, it builds character. Or leads to what people will call enlightenment, or self-development, or self-actualization, however you want to put it. Wisdom and knowledge. So Alan Stiles writes, learning so much so fast from you, but I realize I have lost so much time already. Okay? So anyway, y'all, let's take a look at this. So the autochthonous Moors, the Sabian Moors, keep this in perspective, okay? Let's put it in, let's put it chronologically in perspective. The Sabian Moors are called Satan. Right? But the initial meaning were those men and women who were the opposite of God. The opposite of God. In fact, YHWH, let me rephrase that. The devil, Satan, let me just say Satan was the opposite of God. Well, we know there is no such thing as these external gods. That's a dogmatic religious belief. So these Moors who were called Satan, these Sabian Moors, the Elohim, were those people who resisted who resisted the introduction and propagation of external God worship. These were men and women who, as far as I can see from what I've been reading, these are men and women who kept the mindset of their ancient foremothers and forefathers. Before there was a solar zodiac projection and before there were any solar religions, these Elohim, these Sabian Moors, these Kemites, these quote-unquote Israelites said, no, don't go worshiping external gods. Y'all see it? Discipline yourself. Discipline yourself. Live a clean life. Don't harm anyone. Focus on learning how nature works. Okay, y'all? Now, you look at the ancient Moabites that Noble Drew Ali talked about. That's who we come from. The ancient Canaanites. The ancient Kemites. These are not these biblical I don't know what to call them, constructs that we hear about. No, these are the ancient people. Before there ever was a Moses, before Moses ever led the people out. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So, the Sabian Moors, these Kemites, who were good men and women, have been defamed, slandered, and libeled through fake, dogmatic religious doctrine to be Satan, the concept that y'all know of today. Alan Stiles writes, the Nubians. The Nubians, yeah, of course, but we go back much further than the Nubians. Y'all think about this. The Moorish American flag is over 50,000 years old. Is over 50,000 years old. Bible history takes us back 6,000, well, less than 7,000 years, right? Less than 7,000 years. Well, guess what? The Solarites, Osiris, those who departed from the ancient mindset, which is Circle 7. Circle 7, those 7 stars that make up the thigh of the Great Bear, today called the Big Dipper, the celestial ship of the North. The mother of all beginnings. Well, guess what? The Osiris said, we're not going to calculate time by Circle 7 anymore. The circumpolar zodiac projection, right? They said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to calculate time by the sun, where the sun is along the ecliptic. Y'all got that? That's a profound shift. A profound shift. Because here we went from, see, everyone can look up in the north and you can see, well, below the equator, but then below the equator, you'd have a different group of stars. But above the equator, I don't know at what, well, let me just keep going. You can look up in the north and you can tell what time it is. As long as you know how, right? And that was taught to us. Every generation knew this information. Common knowledge. Let me see here. So Alan Stiles writes, maybe they were later. I only know a little bit about them, but women held high priestess positions. 50,000 years old. That's amazing. Absolutely. The Moorish flag is 50,000 years old. And we come from the ancient Moabites and Canaanites, etc. Right? So also we were they're calling it the priestly class. But no, we were the academics. Nobody worshiped external deities. 50,000 years ago, there was no such thing as what they call God now. The concept was not even known. But yet they have the nerve to defame us, to degrade us by calling us priests, as though priests who are leading people to worship a God outside of themselves. See, that's all BS. Y'all heard? Forgot where I was at. So anyway, so the way we reckon time in the circumpolar zodiac projection, which is ancient, way older than 7,000 years. It's hundreds of thousands, millions, or even more. In fact, the authors say that the age is undeterminable. That's how old it is. Whereas a solar zodiac projection, you're looking at, what, 6,000, 5,000, 7,000, at the most 10,000 years? Okay, but the books say the Solarites came into power around 4,000 to 4,500 BCE, right? And it was the Osirians. 4,000 BCE, that was sometime around Pharaoh Menes. Okay, so no, they were not priests. Absolutely not. Not in the way we think of that today. No, they were academics. They were scholars. They were astrologers, mathematicians, etc. All of the sciences. Because that's how we reckon reality. We reckon reality through the stars, which would include the time cycles and natural phenomena. Do y'all see it? But the Solarites, when these Moors, when these ills, these elves, were telling people, return to the mindset of your ancient foremothers and forefathers. Don't go after these external deities. So the Solarites labeled them Satan. Okay, in other words, opposers of God. Opposers of God. They said Satan is the opposite of God. That was initially. No God. No God, y'all. No God. All right? And that's not a bad thing. And like I said, later on, it became this concept of evil and the red devil with the pitchfork. All right, so we're gonna go into this topic of red. Why is the devil said to be red? All right, so why is this devil said to be red? So let's get into that. This notion of a red devil. Where's that coming from? So page 211. Yeah, page 211. Alan Seiss writes, academics so much better. However, even though not religious sect member, ever hard to shake off indoctrination we've been under all our lives by whatever means. Absolutely. And that's why they do it. That's why they do it. Remember what JC said at Mark chapter 4, verse 14. He said he speaks to the people in parables, which are riddles and puzzles that you cannot know the solution to unless the person who created it tells you. He said the reason why, this is JC speaking, the reason why he speaks to the people who are on the outside of the house, the reason why he speaks to them in riddles and parables is because although having eyes to see, they will never perceive. He didn't want you to know what he's talking about. Having ears to hear, they will never understand. He doesn't want you to know what he's talking about, whether you read it or hear it. He doesn't want you to know the symbology either. And then he gives a purpose, because if they ever knew the solution to the parables, they could repent. And y'all, what's the reward of repenting? You can be saved. But when you get saved, you don't go to heaven. And if you don't repent, you don't go burn in fiery hell or be out of existence forever. No consciousness, no. In fact, that goes against the second law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. Consciousness is energy. What else could it possibly be? So no, what you do, you get your birthright back. You get possession and enjoyment of your birthright. Deuteronomy chapter 30. So in other words, you become the creditor. Whereas now, you're the debtor. Sinner. Okay, y'all? So anyway, let's get into this color red. I just found that to be very interesting, right? Very, very interesting. Of course, the eels, now think about this, y'all. The lost word, well, let me let it go. Let's continue. Page 211. Sometimes I tend to, I need to keep going forward. Page 211. So now let us return to that astrological meaning. As the harvest is ripe and about to be gathered, the leaves, so scholars, here's where we are. Virgo initially was Virgo Scorpio. At the fall of man, Libra was inserted between Virgo and Scorpio, and they broke off. Okay, so now there are two extra zodiacs, right? Libra and Scorpio. And Libra represents a table, okay? So you'll get this on page 211 if you read the paragraphs above. So now let us return to the astrological meaning. As the harvest is ripe and about to be gathered, of course, Libra and Scorpio, Virgo, this is during the harvest season. Okay, y'all? So, so let's deal with it. So we're at the harvest. We're at the harvest season. So as the harvest is ripe and about to be gathered, the leaves are falling and covering the earth, which is already bare. So we're in the harvest season, okay? So we're what? Maybe October, September, October, November? The earth is bare. And cold and frosty nights ensue, depositing on the leaves dampness and moisture. This is key. Depositing on the leaves dampness and moisture like sweat. So remember when JC was on the cross in the Christian iconography, you see JC on the cross and you see his mother Mary next to him. So this is telling you by the presence of Mary that this is the harvest, because Mary is Virgo. Mary is Virgo, the zodiac sign Virgo. And then JC is given the vinegar to drink, the gall, which represents the end of the winemaking season, September 29. Okay, y'all? This is the symbology. Now remember, JC is sweating. He's sweating. And his sweat becomes like drops of blood. This is the moisture, like sweat, that they're talking about. Okay? So depositing on the leaves dampness and moisture like sweat. Tinging the leaves with red and brown. So red would be fresh blood, brown would be blood that's no longer fresh, but now breaking down, coagulating. Okay, y'all? An unnatural heat ensues during the day from this humidity. So the humidity in the air is called, hold on. Okay, so let's continue. So an unnatural heat ensues during the day from this humidity and the period called the Indian summer. Now, I remember when I was younger, Indian summer was a big deal. So let me see if I can pull something up to share with y'all in case you don't know what Indian summer means. Y'all ever heard of an Indian giver? Have you ever heard of an Indian giver? And see, here's another thing. Indians are spoken of in such a derogatory way when you think about things like that. Indian giver, right? It kind of lets you know who they're talking about if you know this information, right? So let's look up Indian summer. Indian summer is a period of unseasonably warm, dry weather that sometimes occurs in the autumn in temperate regions of the northern hemisphere. So what happens? You get sick. during Indian summer. Okay? You get sick during Indian summer. In other words, it fools you, right? The Indian negative, the Indian tricks you. Give me 1 second. I found something from the Farmer's Almanac. Let me see what they have that's interesting. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, so for over 2 centuries, the Old Farmer's Almanac has gone by the adage, quote unquote, if All Saints, which is November 1st, brings out winter, St. Martin's brings out Indian summer. Oh, so you mean they're relating the seasons to the saints? The New Testament? Okay, so this is clearly pointing you toward astrotheology, right, y'all? I hope y'all can see that. Indian summer is not the best terminology, given the history of the term Indian in North America. The weather phenomena is best described using the term that Europeans and British still use, St. Martin's summer. Do y'all see that this is astrotheology? Okay. This references St. Martin's Day, November 11th, the official start of these unusually late warm spells. Interesting that they use the word spells, as in God's spells, as in saints. Another popular term used by the American Meteorological Society is, hold on, is second summer. Is second summer, which is indeed appropriately descriptive. Look at this, y'all. In England, Shakespeare used the expression All Halloween summer. Other old terms include the unfortunate old wives summer. Who's an old wife, y'all? Who's an old woman? That's the Great Mother Typhoon. And poetically, Halcyon's Day. So here's the definition. Here's the definition. So definition of Indian summer, second summer. Here are several criteria for this weather phenomena according to the Old Farmer's Almanac. Now y'all know the Farmer's Almanac is based on astrology, okay? And how it influences and signals the seasons and what you need to be doing. 1, it's a period of abnormally warm weather occurring in late autumn between St. Martin's Day, that's November 11th, and November 20th, with generally clear skies, sunny but hazy days, and cool nights. Y'all got that? Sunny days and cool nights, that's enough to get you sick. The timing is important. It occurs after at least one killing frost. All right, y'all? But also before the first snowfall. Preferably a substantial period of normally cool weather. Uh-oh, what happened? All right. A substantial period of normally cool weather must precede this warm spell. As well as being warm, the atmosphere is hazy or smoky. There is no wind, the barometer is standing high, and the nights are clear and chilly. Y'all see how this can get you sick? A moving, cool, shallow polar air mass is converting into a deep, warm, stagnant anticyclone, which means high pressure. A high pressure system, which has the effect of causing haze and a large swing in temperature between day and night. Hold on, y'all. All right. So given the above criteria, this weather phenomenon does not occur every year, and it occurs more than once in some years. We rather enjoyed this description written by Sandy Griswold for the Oklahoma blah, 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 blah. Y'all can read that yourself. Do you see the unusual brightness of the sun, extreme brilliance of the moon? Hold on. So these are the conditions. Hold on, y'all. So he's giving theories, but I don't want to read through that. I want to show you they don't have anything about getting sick. Hold on. They don't have anything. Getting sick, boring. Y'all gonna have to trust me. If you don't know about Indian summer, yeah, they don't have anything. When I was a child. You know, it's hot outside. Our parents would still make us put on a jacket even though it was hot so that you wouldn't get sick, okay? But anyway, so these are the conditions. It's humid, it's wet. Alan Stiles writes, I hope I understand that correctly. Hold on. Okay, so now we're dealing with Indian summer, which means a trick, fool you, deceive you, right? Or fall summer, okay? So fall summer ensues, deceiving in every way. Do y'all see it? Deception, deceiving in every way. For it is the season of malarial exhalations, conducive to deadly diseases. Everybody see that? So now remember we're talking about JC on the cross, and he's sweating blood. It's red. Okay? Now he's on the cross. What happens? How does a person expire? They can't breathe. So during Indian summer, This is when you get respiratory infections. You get ill because you can't breathe. Okay, it affects your respiratory tract. These are the correlations. Alan writes, oh, I see now. Okay, yeah, good. It is a season of betrayal. Do y'all see it? It is the season of betrayal. The betrayer is Scorpio. The betrayer is Scorpio. And remember at what do they call it? The Lord's evening meal? They set a table out. The table is Libra. And it had all the food on it, representing the harvest, everything. Everybody has a lot of food. You eat until you're satiated. All right, y'all? So the Moor has been defamed and degraded, libeled and slandered to be a betrayer. And here's the other interesting thing. Here's the other. The Moor, the Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, autochthonous man and woman, non-hybrid, betrays himself. Because remember, there is no external God. This is even according to the Bible story. Because the YHWH is the SUN son. So the Moor betrays himself. Judas betrays Jesus. Both are sons of the same mother. Both are autochthonous Moors. Do y'all see it? So the Moor betrays himself. Or the Moor betrays his own brother, if you prefer it that way. All right, y'all? And that's something you can always count on a black person to do. Or let me rephrase that. People who are in the solar religion and people who are in the solar zodiac mindset, they'll betray their brother in a minute, in a heart second. Just out of jealousy and envy. Because not that they're inherently bad, it's through the conditioning, the Jesus juice. Okay, y'all? Everyone knows that about the black people. Everybody knows it. You just throw them a Scooby snack and they will betray. They'll betray their brother. Everybody knows it. All right? Everyone knows it. So in that sense, yeah, they're betrayers because of the conditioning, that Jesus juice, that historical Jesus juice, right? But also the extreme poverty that a lot of us grew up in. And you know, a lot of us are still in that situation, right? Yeah. So indeed, they are betrayers. I'm speaking generally. I don't really know too many people who would argue against that. even out of envy and jealousy. You know, I listened to this dude. His YouTube channel is called, I think it's called The Celebrity Jump. A couple days ago, he did a video, and he was talking about how I'm not black. I'm a Moorish American. I'm not black. He's talking about how black people Many are denationalized Moors, parading around as black, or African American, or Spanish, or whatever the byword might be. Okay, there used to be a byword for Italians. I can't remember what it was. When I was younger, in the community that I grew up in, there were Italians. Some of them were dark, right? There was I don't remember the byword though. What did they used to call the Italians? Where I grew up at, there was a place, I guess in all the big cities there's a little Italy, but it was a sundown town when I was growing up. But a lot of those guys would be dark, right? Because the Moors were over, in Italy, right? But also over here. But anyway, that's a whole other story. I kind of forgot what I was talking about. I don't remember. But let's go back here. I'm distracted because it's so loud in here, y'all. So bear with me, okay? It is not the heat of the sun, but of humidity and interrupted exhalations of Mother Earth, or the sweat of the sun, of the son of Isis and Osiris, the child of the Virgin. So do y'all see this? How that Bible story is explained through astrology or astrotheology, natural phenomena. Okay, this is the solution. The sun has passed over the line. That's the celestial. That's the celestial equator in the fall. Okay, so it falls below, or crosses below rather, the celestial equator, or the equinox, the equinoctial line. Okay. So notice what he said. Nature is red. Nature is red. Remember, the leaves are on the ground, the moisture. All right. So the leaves are. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, where was I, y'all? I don't remember where I was at. Anyway, the leaves are red due to the moisture, so they're red and brown. So if you grew up in a place where there's fall season in the northern hemisphere, where there's fall, you know all about Indian summer. You know all about the beautiful leaves. When, they during the summer they're green, and then they begin to change colors, right? Yellow, red, and then brown. All right. So Alan Stiles writes, at least people I've known, even our actual family, for material gain, inheritance, property, etc. I'm very fair, blue-eyed, but love to suntan and tan deep and don't burn like an Indian. Well, I'm happy to hear you don't burn, because that's kind of terrible, right? If you burn. It's terrible if you burn, y'all. You should see some people who are sunburned. That has got to hurt. That's some real pain. But for those of you who burn in the sun, you need to put vitamin C on your burns. It'll help it heal faster. Y'all will notice that not most, but probably, let me just say the vast majority of skin products for beauty and things like this, they have vitamin C. So the vitamin C is what's really giving you the protection and making your skin beautiful. But anyway, let's continue. So nature is red, and the mark of the serpent is over all. So what's the serpent? The serpent woman. The serpent woman traces back to the circumpolar zodiac, the great mother typhoon. Okay, this is the serpent woman, because remember, there's the pole. If you draw a line from the celestial North Pole to the celestial South Pole, that's a pole, a totem pole, a tree. And then the change of the pole stars are represented by a snake coiling up a tree. And the number of coils represent the number of changes in the pole star. Okay, so this is the serpent. Okay, y'all, this is red fall season. If you should go back and listen to the last 2 or 3 classes that I did where I discussed red. Okay, red is Virgo. Of course, Virgo is fall. Red is, let me scratch that. Red is sunset on a 24-hour basis and on a seasonal basis. Okay, so it's fall season, so Virgo. And then going throughout fall, transitioning into winter. Okay, y'all? So the SUN sun has passed over the line, and his declination increases southward. The sun is on his journey, and the light of our northern hemisphere is to be shown of his rays and to grow weaker and weaker. So what is this talking about? This is when JC gets slapped and spit on, humiliated, and there wasn't nothing he could do about it, right? Because he had to follow through with the prophecy. Okay, so the sun, the physical sun, the disk in the sky, once it crosses below the celestial equator, there's nothing the sun can do to change the situation. It can't all of a sudden start moving back northerly to go to the kingdom of the heaven, right? It has to continue to fall, to decrease in elevation. Now, JC gets crucified. The sun crosses below the celestial equator on around September 22nd. Do y'all see it? The astrological solution. And now, since when the sun is at the celestial equator, here, the sun is at 0 degrees. It crosses below the celestial equator. But at the equator, there's 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night. It's even. This is righteousness. This is justice. Every man gets paid his due for the work that he or she or his team put in, the agricultural work. You get paid your just wages. And so therefore, JC is called that righteous one. So righteousness, equity, equality, equity courts come from the concrete natural phenomena of 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night. So when the sun crosses below the celestial equator, now the darkness begins to rule. Satan gains power over Christ. Do y'all see it? In other words, the darkness, the number of hours of nighttime exceed and will continue to exceed the number of daylight hours. Everyone see how it's working? All right. So he is on his journey. That is the Escheat son. That is Jesus, right? Jesus gets crucified. Okay. And the light of our northern hemisphere is to be shown of his rays. So in the northern hemisphere, y'all, this is the kingdom of God, remember? All right? And grow weaker and weaker. So they're going to be 13 hours of nighttime, 14 hours of nighttime, 15 hours of nighttime, 16 hours of nighttime. So subtract that from 24 hours in a day. So the number of daylight hours are decreasing, right? So the Escheat sun is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And he's being taken to hell. Okay, y'all? But until he, that's the sun, gets well into Scorpio, or the place of the old top cross, remember? Baal, Taurus, Leo the lion, the lion of the tribe of Judah, and then Scorpio, the eagle. Ezekiel, these are the 4 living creatures, okay? And by the way, the 4 living creatures, and then the cherubim between each season. Remember, there are 4 seasons. The cherubim is between each season. And then what's in the center, y'all? The sun, the Escheat sun, or God. Okay, and the solar zodiac projection. Felix writes, good morning, everyone. Alan writes, my mother was very dark, hair and olive complexion. However, she was very into metaphysics, occult history, and reading. Absolutely. So here's the thing, y'all. I used to teach this years ago in my class. Man, how many years ago? I don't remember. But if you want to know if you're a hybrid or not, I'll tell you one of the I'll tell you how to find out. Orthogonous men, well, let me not say that. I don't want to say it because it's not. This is true for pale faces. Okay, this is true for pale faces. It's not true for everyone, but for pale faces. The hybrid pale face has melanin in only one layer of skin. The rest of the layers, they don't have melanin. But are there dark hybrids? Absolutely. You got to remember, Esau came out. He was what? He was ruddy, which means brown or brownish red, brown, the typical complexion, brown. But that was not what was distinctive about Esau. He came out hairy all over, like a hairy garment, or like a piece of leather with the fur still on it, like a cowhide or a horsehide coat. He came out hairy all over. Anyway, let's go back to it. That's just an interesting tidbit. Okay. And y'all should look up Moriscos. You should look up Moriscos. There are a lot of Moors in Italy. Actually, well, let me leave it at that. But until the sun gets into Scorpio, or the place of the old Tacros, where his strength ceases, okay, the story would be incomplete. Here the days rapidly grow shorter and light begins to depart. This is talking about leaving the fall or autumn, going into winter, and then getting into deep winter. Okay? And the deepest day of winter, or the day with the longest night, and the shortest amount of daylight is the winter solstice. All right, so here again, here the days rapidly grow shorter and light begins to depart as the sun moves closer and closer to its lowest elevation or declination in the south, which is December 21st, which is Capricorn, negative 23.5 degrees south, which is the winter solstice, which is the lower south. Okay, y'all, which is the lower south. Felix writes, cherubim are the equinox and solstice zodiac animals combined. Just as you said, they are also the pillars of the firmament. So much astrology in the Bible, absolutely. Absolutely, and it's so unfortunate that so many people still get upset. They don't want to hear it. You know, they don't want to hear it for whatever reason, you know. But there are a lot of people who do. But our people are just so religified out. Okay, so let's look at John chapter 12, verse 35. Quote unquote. Then Jesus said unto, so we're going to read these verses and then relate it back to the seasonal phenomena that we just reviewed, okay, y'all? Then JC said unto them, yet a little while is the light with you. You see that? Yet a little while is the light with you. So we're in fall season. And then we're going to move into, or the end of fall, we're in Scorpio, right? In Scorpio. And now we're going to move into winter. Y'all see it? All right. Verse 36. While ye have light, believe in the light, that ye may be the children of light. See, while you have light, the sun is going to keep moving around its annual path. Nobody can stop that. So while you have the light, believe in it. Do what you need to do in preparation for winter. Y'all see it? Believe in it. Okay, don't get stuck out here and you don't have any food in your storehouse. Now remember, this is the solar zodiac. This is a solar zodiac that's based on agricultural cycles. Okay, Matthew chapter 27, verse 3. Then Judas is the betrayer, right? Scorpio, or the L's. Then Judas, which had betrayed him, repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver. So 30. Silver, that's the moon. 30. 1 degree. Remember, y'all, for every day, the sun casts a 1 degree shadow. But at night, there's a moon. Do y'all see it? So 30 moons. Like our ancestors used to say, 30 moons. Or what, y'all? 1 month. Right? 300, a full circle divided by 12. 30 moons. But anyway, I'm pretty sure he's going to say this. So then Judas, who had betrayed him, repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priest and elders, saying, I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood. And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed and went and hanged himself. Matthew is the only one who says anything about the way Judas died. and has got the next sign of the zodiac, or Sagittarius, mixed in, which has signification of long things hanging by a rope. Okay, y'all? And such like, or suspension from high places. Okay, so this is why Judas hung himself, because Sagittarius is coming next. Then turn to Acts chapter 1, verse 18. Speaking of Judas Iscariot, it says, quote unquote, "Now this man purchased a field with the reward of inequity, and falling headlong, he burst asunder in the midst, and all his bowels gushed out." All right, page 213, y'all. Thus proving that Scorpio, the blood sign, see red, the blood sign, the betrayer, the sign which signifies ruptures, bursts, crevices, and the fall, was what was signified by Judas Iscariot. Hope everyone sees that. The 30 pieces of silver signified 30 days of a lunar month, from October 22nd to November 22nd. That beautiful description of the cherub, this is at Psalms chapter 18, verse 9 through 11, describes this sign perfectly. So here it is. The cherub, as before shown, had the head of a man, the head of an eagle, the head of a lion, the head of a bull or a heifer. That's the top cross. All right? This is why you would see the pharaohs. You would see the pharaohs like this, y'all. Okay? I'm talking about the human pharaohs, the Solarites. So it continues. Moreover, you must remember that cherub, listen to this, y'all, that cherub in Hebraic means serpent. The cherub means serpent. Serpent, as in serpent woman. Also, that the sign Scorpio has for its banner an eagle. Also, that when the zodiac had but 10 signs, Scorpio was Virgo. Remember? Virgo, Scorpio. It wasn't until the fall of man that Libra was introduced. Or in other words, Ma'at. Okay? Justice. That the two signs are so intimate that the fall or coming down of the Escheat sun was altered to Libra to agree with the sun in Aries. Let me show y'all that. Put this on the public record. Here it is right here, y'all. Do y'all see where it says? The two signs are so intimate that the fall or coming down of the Escheat sun was altered to Libra. In other words, they added in another constellation called Libra to agree with the sun in Aquarius. I'm sorry, in Aries. So y'all take a minute and read that. Cherub in Hebraic, cherub in Ancient Ibaryath, Phoenician Hebrew, Phoenician Canaanite, Paleo Hebrew means serpent. Serpent. But the serpent is Satan. Okay? According to the dogmatic Christian religious doctrine. Does everyone see it? Let me look at these. Hold on. Okay, Alan writes, I have read some of the Bible, but not much. More occult texts, metaphysics, magic, fairy tales. Okay, so y'all, let's read in the Psalms. The Psalms thus describes. Hold on, let me let the noise go by. Give me 1 second, y'all. Hopefully, someone who has been traumatized by the dogmatic religion will get this information and will be able to recover from that trauma completely and more rapidly. Felix writes, another betrayal in heaven, the morning star, then the evening star. Imagine not knowing they are the same, but when you figure out that, but don't know how that happened. Somehow make that make sense. Alan writes, Felix, my name is Brindal. Okay. So y'all see the psychological operations here, the psychological warfare that's going on here? The double meaning of the text. So here's the Psalms, quote unquote. He bowed the heavens also, and came down. The darkness was under his feet. Okay, so this is the sun. Remember the ark, the royal ark from the spring equinox, March 22nd, thereabout, to the summer solstice, June 22nd, thereabout. Now the sun begins to fall to September 22nd, thereabout, and the darkness is below his feet. Okay? The darkness is under his feet. He rode upon a cherub and did fly. Yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. Okay, y'all? So remember, this is the top cross. Between the cherub is where what? Is where God dwells. That's the central sun. Okay, the central sun, who's here, where the two lines cross each other. Okay, guys. Felix writes, nice to meet you, Brindon. I remember you from a few live streams back. All right, so let's continue. He made darkness his secret place. So now the sun is in winter season. His pavilion around about him was dark waters. So dark waters, the celestial abyss, the celestial waters. Okay, y'all? And thick clouds of the skies. Okay? All right. So let's go to the next paragraph. Now from Taurus through Cancer, Leo to Virgo or Scorpio, the great arc overhead circle is as a great bow descending beneath the horizon, or close of the day into darkness at sundown also falls. This is the equinox, right, y'all? The equinoctial line. Rapidly in November, the original 9th month. For Novo, N-O-V-O, is 9. The year commencing March 22nd, so the first day of the year in the solar zodiac projection is March 22nd, which is Aries, the Lamb of God. Okay, so as the sun ascends from March 22nd, this is the bending or the bow of the sun. This is also what, y'all? The royal arc. That's a royal arc. That's the kingdom of God. All right? All right, so the year commencing March 22nd, and the thick clouds here commence. So remember, these thick clouds contain the moisture that will eventually be responsible for turning, for making the clouds, the sky have that red tinge in the autumn. And then that red color of the sky gets reflected on the lakes, rivers, streams, and oceans. The days are dark and gloomy, and the Escheat sun is going into the darkness of winter rapidly. The Escheat sun went south at this time into apparently the southern oceans, right? Because it's going to cross below and it looks like the sun is going underwater. The Escheat sun went south at this time into apparently the southern oceans and crossed the equinox or line at Libra. So this would be the cardinal points, right? And the whole of the above quotation is verified. Okay, y'all? So give me 1 second. I'm going to go see if the other place I usually go to is open. Hold on 1 second, y'all. I'll be right back. One second, y'all. Let's see.
Cô, năm mới sức khỏe, bạn sự như ý nha cô. Có chương trình đi đâu chơi không mà không thấy alo em nhé dạ. Chơi chớn rồi, chơi núp lùm là không được đâu nha.
All right. Okay.
Ở đâu cũng phải hú nhỏ này chứ, có nhỏ em mà quên nó là buồn lắm luôn á.
All right, y'all. So let's pick it back up.
Dạ.
You know, I don't think I could tolerate winter like I used to.
Em quên ha, để lát chiều lát về em ghé đây.
I'm from a cold climate, but well, we have 4 seasons where I'm from. But I'm no longer accustomed to winter. I don't think I would enjoy living having to endure winter every year. Tropical climate makes you, I just can't imagine living through winters every year again. No way. So more power to y'all. Hopefully you'll have an opportunity to, if you want, experience living in a tropical climate. I mean, once you get a couple years in of living in a tropical climate, you won't want to go back to winters. At least I don't know anybody who wants to go back to winter. Most of the expats that I have met who lived overseas in a tropical climate for more than like 3 years, they didn't want to go back. Alan Stiles writes, right. We all can't be in Vietnam, but we would love to. Felix writes, the star Jupiter is between the horns of Taurus. Been there for months and will be a full year there. Okay. All right, y'all. So let's see. So let's pick it back up. We're on page 213. So it continues now. Before we close this sign, as it was in this sign, so here we have here again the cardinal points. Okay, we have the cardinal points, so the solstitial line and then the equinoctial line. Okay, so which would be north, south, east, and west. All right. So now, before we close this sign, as it was in this sign, the cross, the cardinal points, the traditional Christian cross, is betrayed. We must make another allusion, and an important one, to Libra. It is in Libra that we must nail the Christ, or the Escheat and Son. So Christ gets crucified. Hold on. In the cross, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I lost where I was at. Okay, so it is in Libra that we must nail the cross, or the Escheat and Son on the cross, between 2 thieves. This is very interesting, right? Between 2 thieves. So some people will say the 2 thieves are regret of the past and fear of the future. But anyway, let's keep going. As Aries represents the head of a man, did y'all hear that? Aries represents the head. Oh, he's talking about, let me show you. Aries represents the head in man, not of a man. So there was one, I remember there was one person where I went over this information and I don't know if the person was, well, they didn't know anything about it, and so their reaction clearly showed they didn't know anything about it. So if you understand what I mean, you understand what I'm talking about here, right? Give me 1 second. Let me show you. So I'm going to go to C.M. Bay's Clock of Destiny, Volume 1. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 moment. Let me find the place.
Trong lớp thì có em nè, Quyên nè, Trường Giang nè, nói chung là ủng hộ hết mình, cái gì cũng nhất hết á. Em nghĩ chắc có khi nào vậy.
Here we are.
Có khi nào là ghen ăn tức cỡ nhau không?
So this is on page 25. Yeah, it may be better if I show you a picture. I'm going to try to show you a picture.
Có nghĩa là hàng năm.
So can y'all see that? This is C.M. Bay, Clock of Destiny, Volume 1. Okay, do you see here where it says here 1 through 30? 1 through 30 degrees, that's the first day to the 30th day. Moon in Aries. See, this is the head. Okay. So give me 1 second. Let me pull up, let me get a picture for you. So it's not so abstract. 1 second.
Hỏi thông tin thôi. Là ở trong lớp, hiện tại là ở đang trong lớp là có một phụ huynh giáo viên tụi mình. Hỏi thông tin. Trời ơi, bữa rồi cuối năm quậy tè le. Rồi quậy lên rồi cái lên phòng, xong rồi thì họ gọi lên họp, xong rồi cô Bích phải gọi hết là phụ huynh lớp xử lý. Dạ có, hôm bữa là thì họ có kêu lên phụ huynh lên nói để trả lại rồi. Dạ đúng rồi. Dạ đúng rồi, tội cô thôi. Thì quỹ thì cũng không mấy triệu, nhưng mà chi thì trả lại phụ huynh một những số người ta cũng đâu có nhận, chỉ có người ta đâu có nhận đâu, có vài người thôi. Cho thêm cũng cho thôi, hỗ trợ thêm cũng trợ thôi, chứ nhận lại mấy trăm ngàn nhận làm gì. Vậy là ví dụ như lên phòng vậy có ảnh hưởng gì tôi Bích này.
Okay, can you guys see this? Let's see. There's another image. Can everybody make that out? Do you see where it says Aries, the head? Everybody see that? So this is what the author is talking about. Let me see if I can find a better image. I'll blow it up. Here we are. Do y'all see? Everyone sees that? So there was once this astrologer. I guess she was an astrologer. But she was not aware of that, and she kind of called herself calling me out. So Alan Stiles writes, weak spot, interesting. Hold on. Okay. So anyway, so here we are, y'all. As Aries represents the head in man, or first point of right ascension. First point of right ascension. So the sun is entering into the kingdom of God. 12 hours of daylight, 13 hours of daylight, 14 hours of daylight, 15 hours of daylight, etc. Okay, y'all? So Aries, according to the solar zodiac projection, is the beginning of the year. All right? So it continues. The positive or birth of strength of the year. So the birth of the year, the beginning of the year, right? The new year. Okay. Of the prime meridian and the SUN sun's ascension. That means it's elevating, right? So Libra represents the negative and the descension. Okay, why? Because it has to be along the same line. Okay, in order for it to be what? Evenness. Evenness is justice, is righteousness. Okay, everyone see that? So Aries over here, and then Libra over here. You should also remember that these are polar opposites. Polar opposites. So the Hermetic law of polarity is in effect. So this is why Ma'at is love and justice, etc. At the opposite end of the same line, you get the opposite of love and justice, which is Aries. Of course, Aries the ram, or the Lamb of God. Y'all got it? And JC is the Lamb of God. Very interesting that it's that JC, that Aries is the opposite of love and justice, right? Okay, but it is what it is, okay? All right, so that Libra represents the negative and descension. Okay, so positive, negative, okay, opposite ends. All right. Loss of strength and vitality and collapse. So the sun is losing its strength, it loses its vitality, and it collapses, right? It falls down into darkness. Okay? There's nothing the sun can do about it. And here the arc falls in at death. Vitality is lost. Right? Vitality is lost. The head bows and man goes down into darkness. So what is this telling us about the life cycle? So man is born December 25th, right? A new SUN sun is born. The sun grows, reaches maturity, right? And then after maturity, there's decline, and eventually there's death. Okay, so that's all this is talking about. So let's continue. And then, of course, after death, there's what? Darkness. Your eyes aren't working anymore. Body goes back into the ground. From dust you are, and from dust you will return. High Rising writes, why is one? But do you mean with the image of Aries? You mean that? No, he doesn't have eyes. Actually, I don't know. I mean, I just pulled this image up. Let me see if I can find the traditional image. That's not the traditional image. This is the traditional. The traditional image is something like that. Everybody see that? Something like that. So there's Aries. Do you see Aries in the center of the forehead? Okay, all right. So let's continue. The SUN sun, where am I? Okay, so let's pick up, we're on page 214, the next sentence. It reads, he carries his cross with him, For wherever he may go, his latitude and longitude, now you understand carrying the cross, his latitude and longitude must go with him until extended upon him. All right, so let's look at longitude and latitude. I think everyone knows this, right? Nothing new. So do y'all see the intersecting signs, the cross? Everybody see that? Lines of latitude and longitude. Hold on. Give me a second. You guys see the intersecting lines? That's that cross. That's the cross. He carries his cross with him as he declines. So take a look at 0 degrees, -15, -30, -60, -90. So he's declining, and you see the longitude and latitude lines are intersecting, forming a cross. So the sun must carry his cross with him as he declines. Do y'all see it? Hence we get the expression, you have to carry your cross. Right? There it is. You have to carry your cross. Okay, so let's continue. The Escheat sun does the same. And in Libra, the sun reaches the point where down he must go. Okay, Libra, the body or orb of the Escheat sun is now in the center of the cross. The rays shining only part way in our northern hemisphere, divided by the equator. The summer solstice, or mid-heaven, or Cancer on one hand, and on the other hand, Capricorn, the winter solstice, both thieves. So the solstitial line. So Cancer, summer solstice, higher self. Capricorn, winter solstice, lower self. Okay, or what? Christ and the devil, or Satan. Okay, and here's the sun. Can y'all see that? This is the equinoctial line. So the sun at the fall equinox. Okay, so now the sun, can y'all see that? The sun is between two thieves. In other words, the sun is in the middle of the line, in the middle of the solstitial line. Everyone understand that? Okay, so one line is regret of the past, and the other is fear of the future, according to some people. Okay, so let's continue. All right. For when the declination is highest after the 22nd of June, so that would be the summer solstice, the sun begins to lose its length of days. Okay, so summer solstice, that's the day of the year where there are the most hours of sunlight. After that, the sun begins to decline in elevation, and the number of daylight hours begin to decrease, and therefore the nighttime hours begin to increase. Okay, eventually it'll go back to 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night, which is the evenness, equity, equality, justice, righteousness, equity courts. Okay? All right. Okay, so he continues, And on December 22nd, the sun has lost all and is at its lowest declination. So how is it that the SUN sun loses it all? Well, because on December 22nd, the sun stops casting a shadow on the sundial. So it's cast a shadow all year round. But on December 22nd, until the very last second of December 24th, the sun does not cast a shadow on the sundial. But on December 25th, it will cast a full 1 degree shadow on the sundial. So this is what the author is saying. The sun is at its lowest point because it's at its lowest elevation in the southern part of space. And it's no longer alive, as it were, because it's not casting a shadow on the sundial. Y'all got it? All right. I always find this stuff interesting. Give me 1 second, y'all.
Đúng rồi đó, chắc vậy đó.
Okay, all right. All right. So Mercury also governs the sign Virgo, the Virgin. And Mercury, when retrograde or ailing in astrology, is consort with thieves. All right, so consort means like the husband and wife in modern terms. And being an established fact that when Mercury turns retrograde, an epidemic of thieves and bank presidents take place. An epidemic of thieves and bank presidents. What year was this published? 1892. The reason why I'm laughing is because I'm wondering if he's talking about central banks. Private central banks. See, thieves, epidemic of thieves, and private central banks. All right, anyway, let's continue. Sagittarius or the centaur or the centurion was formerly represented as a horse. Should we stop here? Maybe we should stop here because this is going into a different zodiac sign. Yeah, let's stop here, y'all, scholars. And then we can pick it back up in about 12 to 24 hours. This is a long chapter, but not too many. Hold on, let me see. I think this is probably the longest chapter of the book, but we're almost finished with it. I think maybe 3, 4, 5 more. 3, 4, 5 more classes will be finished with this chapter. Let's see. So we're gonna stop on page. We're gonna pick it back up at the last paragraph of page. Well, let me show this page. We're gonna pick it back up tomorrow on page 214. Okay, y'all. At the bottom paragraph. All right, we're gonna pick it back up at Sagittarius. So let me show this so y'all can pause this on the replay and go through what we went over on your own.
Dạ rồi,
Alright.
ok. Gửi cái định vị
So
này
keep in mind as you go through this, when you read about Aries, go back and review the information that we covered on Aries already. Okay? And write Ascension. It's in the book. You'll have to go back and find it yourself. I don't feel like doing it. But review Aries so you can integrate everything together. All right. Assalamu alaikum. Islam to all the Moors. Shalawama.